What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about others today. We're going to talk about the whole damn crypto markets because C-Zar the bear is taking a little snooze. C-Zar the bull's coming out to play, you guys. I want to put this on with an air of caution, though. I don't want to be incredibly. Hold on, let me turn this thing down because it's being too damn loud. There we go. I don't want to be too bullish. Because it's very possible we could still see a 20 to 30% drop, maybe even more than that, across the board for a lot of altcoins. Okay, so be on red alert, or maybe I should say yellow alert. Don't be on red alert, right? It's just be on like a warning kind of alert. It's not like a dire situation, but things are starting to look bullish. Things are definitely turning around. Last week did not happen at all the way that I was expecting it to. I did think that we would make this move down, and I still persisted with the bearish side. But sometimes, whenever you get enough data in your face that's saying, "Hey, man, we're actually going to move up," I think it can happen. I do want to compare this real quick on the daily time frame to another area over here. Right? If we look, let's just see, where was it? Maybe I'm thinking of a different chart. Oh no, it's right here. Okay, so if we look at this here, where we found support on the oversold zone a bunch of times, right here, right? You did continue to persist down throughout this whole time. You even had a little bit of a move up to this moving average here, the 123, and then you still moved down. And how much was this move down? This was and to be fair, this was in the bear market, so we're in a bull market now. It's a totally different time. That was about a 35% drop, right? And I'm saying we could do like a 20 to 30% drop. It can happen. We can move up first and then still move lower, right? Where are we at now? If we look at this on a daily aspect, if we were to move up higher, we could move up to this 123, something like this, maybe find resistance at prior areas of support, and that could be enough to send us down, right? But from there, a 20 to 30% drop, or even if we dropped 30 to 40%, that wouldn't take us, I guess 30% would take us all the way back to these lows, 40% would take us below, but it wouldn't be too much dramatically lower than where we're at now. Okay, I don't know if we're going to find resistance here. It wouldn't surprise me if we found resistance at prior areas of support. That tends to be how you do things, right? But not always. Sometimes you do break through and you find support at that area and then continue. But if we were to find resistance here, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going down like that, right? We could find resistance, consolidate, find support at prior areas of resistance, confirm that as support, and then continue to run, right? Something like that can happen. But I am somewhat convinced that we are going to move higher. We do, if we look at the daily RSI here, we do have a nice bounce right off the oversold zone. Okay, it's not bullish divergence because it is a lower low, but it's kind of a double bottom right here, or a triple bottom of sorts, while going dramatically lower. That bullish divergence would likely indicate that we are going to see, and it's not bullish divergence. I shouldn't say that, but this double bottom with this lower low, it is some kind of divergence nonetheless. I would assume that it implicates that we move higher over the coming days. Does this mean that we're absolved of going lower? Absolutely not. We can move lower. It absolutely wouldn't be crazy at all if we moved lower, but we could be in some kind of what do they call this? They call this a diagonal, a running diagonal pattern. Let me see. It wouldn't be a bullish three drives or a bearish three drives pattern because we didn't even hit the 1272. But it could be some kind of pattern like this where you're basically in a channel. You get it's like a 1 2 3 4, or maybe it's a 1 2 3 4 5 pattern, and then you look to break out to the upside or look to break out to the downside from there. But likely this next move, if it behaves how we might expect it to, you would move up and see a price that's higher than this. Likely you would go above your all-time highs and see something just above there. If we look at this from a high to a low here, I would anticipate that we probably do go at least to 563 billion, if not 747 billion, somewhere around that. Why? Because it would be, first off, it'd be a higher high that makes sense in this kind of range, and secondly, we'd be at new all-time highs on this chart. We might just pump really hard if we're seeing new all-time highs. I mean, back here, whenever you saw new all-time highs, what did you do? Did you mess around? Were you beating around the bush? No, you made some significant effort in a short amount of time and basically nonstop train all the way up to the upside, right? I don't think we have any data going back here. There's no data for the all-time high here, but whenever you broke this high, did you mess around? No, I mean you did consolidate a little bit here, but you ripped significantly higher and then inevitably continued going higher in a very short amount of time. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we went above 563 billion. So the average altcoin would likely see from here going into this coming move, anything from I think 172% growth to potentially something that's as big as like a 223% growth. Could we see something more than that by the end of this next move? I think it's possible, but let's just focus on this area here. Let's see how we interact with our retracement zone before we get too ahead of ourselves. But absolutely, I mean, just going back in time, seeing how we perform whenever we do these breakout moves, we could see something that's more bullish now than anything that we've seen since the last bull market, right? And we've got all the pieces in the right place, you guys. We've got all the pieces in the right place. Bitcoin dominance is on the edge of a cliff, literally ready to fall. We've got the high in right now. People are afraid to call for alt season. We're in extreme areas of fear, right? A lot of people have probably sidelined themselves from altcoins because they're tired. They're tired. And why are they tired? Well, because the average altcoin from a high in December when everybody was so stoked and alt season was beginning and probably a lot of people bought between December and January, from that high, everything's dropped 55% or more. If you're holding a coin, a crypto that pumped more than the average coin at this time, your coin probably dropped more. And no offense to people, but odds are you probably did not invest in the average coin here. You probably invested in the ones that were pumping the hardest, which also might implicate that they were the ones that dumped the hardest, right? A lot of people are probably tired of altcoins, tired of crypto right now. We can see that reflected in the crypto fear and greed index, right? 22 read is pretty damn low. We've been down here for a while, y'all. We haven't moved too much lower. I did think that we were going to move lower this week. I thought that we were going to go lower. Let's just be real, right? I'm not trying to pretend that I was anything but bearish over the last week, or maybe even before that. I don't remember. I know that for Bitcoin, I flipped bearish, and then by default, the rest of the market too. I flipped bearish right here, back at like $96,000, $94,000, something like that, and then I flipped bullish again after we hit 85K. We hit 85K and we went lower still, but I was bullish up until here. I flipped bearish and I've been bearish ever since, and now I'm bullish again, right? Cautiously bullish, cautiously bullish. As I keep waking up, I'm getting more bullishness, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'd say I'm like 60-40 right now at this point, but we'll see. Looking at this from an RSI perspective, we are finding support at prior areas of support on the RSI. Okay, we don't have a double bottom, I wouldn't call it that, but pretty close to these areas while forming higher lows here. That's a good look. We are finding support potentially right above our 123 weekly moving average on the daily time frame. We're a little bit below it. That's okay. What about on the 4 hour? What are we doing? Looking bullish, guys. Looking really good. Yeah, this is a good look right here. Getting into the 60s, living in the 60s, right? Instead of just getting up here and then rejecting down, getting up here and then rejecting down, right? Instead of doing this, we seem to be moving more methodically, less erratically, sporadically. It's something productive. It definitely looks like something productive. All in all, if I had like one message that I want to leave you guys with by the end of this video is that I think I don't want to get people too excited, but I do think that the altcoin markets might have bottomed out. I think the crypto markets might have bottomed out. Again, I'm like 60-40. There's still a solid chance we could go lower. We could even go lower than this low here. It's completely possible. We did go right to $200 billion and found support right there. Is perfect area to find support at. And in fact, that was a 25% drop overall. Is that right? 25. Hold on now, guys. Hold on. I just want to make sure. Because if I was back here on Saturday the 8th. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I forget, but I think that makes a lot of sense. Finding support at $200 billion, that's a good area to find support from, and I think that we are going to continue to run up from here. If we look at this from a high to a low, the next area to go to, at least to focus on, would be $330 to $350 billion from the current price. That would mean that we are moving up about 40% to 50% across the board. Expect the average altcoin over the coming weeks to finish out the month of March. We're going to get a relief rally, you guys. We're going to see, and maybe not even a relief rally, the beginning of the next phase up. The beginning of what we've long awaited for. Alt season might be upon us right now. Because again, if altcoins are moving up 40% or 50% over the coming weeks, maybe even by the end of March here, is Bitcoin going to move up 40 to 50% by the end of March? I mean, maybe it's possible, but that's a tall order for Bitcoin. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if it's going to be at 127K by the end of March. We do have a call for Bitcoin to be at 137K by the end of March, but that's that is a little bit less likely. I've kind of relinquished those calls, but we did have a video explaining why I think that we could see 137K or 130K by the end of the month. If Bitcoin moves up 50%, I would expect altcoins move up more. That's really what I'm trying to get to, right? I want to keep it grounded and say 50 to 40% by the end of March is a possibility. If not by the end of March, sometime in early April. But this is our next target destination. Who cares when it's going to happen, but it's likely our next area. After we find resistance there, consolidate around here, we'll probably continue and persist higher, getting an overall pump in the markets that's over 100%, over 200%, and maybe even beyond when this next move is all said and done. When is this next move going to be done? Nobody knows, but I'm thinking sometime in May, late May perhaps. It could go past that. It could go earlier than that. And obviously that's not the end of the cycle. We will have a lot more to go. What do I mean by the next move? I mean like this, right? Like if we moved up here from the low to the high, this was your move. And then you consolidated, right? You consolidated for a little bit and then you began your next move up there, right? Where did that move end? That move ended all the way up here. Was that your cycle high? No, but basically, yeah, that was basically the end of the bull cycle there. The next move, I would assume, does take us up to well over 100% in growth for the average altcoin, if not potentially even over 200% or more. We'll see how it goes. I'm expecting nothing less than a miraculous rally here whenever it comes to this next phase. And we really could, trying to be conservative here, I think that we really could see something at about a 220% growth across the board by the end of May. If not, maybe I'm not bullish enough. Maybe we do go all the way up to $1 trillion, and that's a nice area to go to, I think, right between the 1272 and the 1414. Maybe we even go a little bit through that, but something on the lines, I would say, of a 4.4x to potentially a 5x, somewhere in that range, could be what's in store for the average altcoin. Not just for random altcoins, not just for a certain specific special altcoin, but for the average altcoin, you guys. Anything, and I'm very confident that, I mean, at a minimum, it'd be 140% growth. But I don't think it's going to take until the end of May to see this. Again, I don't think you break out to your all-time highs, you're going to stop there. Golden ratio, I think, is a good minimum to expect. 200, that's a 3.2x across the board, okay? 3.2x. If we do go all the way up to $1 trillion, and that could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, nice psychological area of resistance, and it's the next fib at the 1886 to 200 level, that could be promoting a 4x or more, a 420x across the space by the end of this next move, which again, when's this move going to end? Nobody knows, but I'm thinking sometime in May is when this move is going to end. This means, right, let's just think about what this implies. If the average coin could move up 4.2x by the end of May, that means that there will be plenty of coins that don't move up as much, but the average coin will. It also means there will be plenty of coins that move up more than that, right? So if you're holding a coin that was likely, or not likely, but definitely, if you hold a coin that did more than a 140% move in the months of November to December, if you held a coin that did more than the average coin here, I think it's safe to assume you might be holding a coin that does more than the average coin here. And if the average coin could do a 4.2x, if you have targets that are any less than that for whatever coin it is that did outperform the average coin here, you might not be bullish enough, man. You might not be. Even at the absolute, like, kind of most pessimistic I could be, at a 3.2x. It's either a 3.2x, a 4.2x, something in between, or even a little bit higher than that could be coming our way. And that's just for the average altcoin. Not for all of them. There will be some that don't move up that much, and those ones, underperformers, overperformers, whatever, they're all going to perform, but you want to ideally be holding something that is making this average standard. If it only sees a 3.2x, that's pretty average, right? If it sees a 4.2x, that's pretty average. Something and everything in between is what I would expect. But if anything less than that, you might hold something that's not performing as well as the average altcoin is, and you might want to reconsider your diversification. Or if you have other reasons to believe that your coin can pump in later days, okay, hold to it, whatever. But just food for thought there, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, just food for thought. I don't think I have anything else that I want to say. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Actually, one more thing, okay? If we want to validate this as a low, and I think we all want to validate this as a low, what do we need to see? We need to get above the golden ratio. We're already above the golden ratio. Good. That's the first step. We need to get above the 236 at $348 or $348 billion, right? It's the same thing for Bitcoin. We need it to get above its relative 236 as well. If we look at this from a high here to a low, this golden ratio I think would also be important. And that golden ratio there is right at the 236 essentially. So 330 billion, 348 billion, something like that. If we can get a daily close above that area, we see about a 45 to a 50% pump across the board. Yeah, I would think that we could validate this as a low and that we are going higher. Of course, it'll start to look exciting because if we're even moving up to that area, we are getting above our lower highs already. We're breaking out of the downtrend well before we even get to $330 billion or $350 billion, but 300 I would say 350 is really what it's going to take for me to be completely convinced. I mean, I'm pretty damn convinced right now, but still open to the idea that we could see a 20 to 30% drop across the board. Now that I've said that we're moving up, we probably will. So tomorrow, just expect a flash crash, okay? And then, all jokes aside, once we get above 330 to 350, it will validate whatever low we do have. Okay, that's all I got to say. So if you want to invalidate that notion, if you want to go lower and you want to hold to your guns, we really need to reject this area. You can't get above the golden ratio today. If you can reject it, come back down, and then see prices below this. If the average altcoin, if we see the others chart drop more than 13%, if the average altcoin sees a 15% drop or more over the coming days, then that would likely invalidate any idea of going higher. We likely will go lower, and the average coin would drop something of a 20 to maybe a, let's say, a 17% to a 26% drop from here, and maybe more. That's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. And my camera's screwed up, man. All right, bye.